Hey, this is MJ, and in today's tutorial I'm going to show you how to make a Celtic weave pillow cover. So the pillow that I'm covering today is a 12 by 20 inch size. I will have the link in the description box for these pillow forms. They're nice and bulky and thick, and they're going to make this pillow cover look amazing. The yarn that I'm using is Billow bulky weight yarn. This is a beautiful 100% cotton yarn, and it's beautiful for your home decor items. The hook size that you'll need is a 6mm J hook, and I'm using a STREAMLINE swirl hook from FURLS Crochet, and this is the TAURUS color that I'm using. And you'll also need to make sure that you take your hanks and put them into cakes before working with them. I have a blog post plus a video tutorial that shows you how to do that if you've never done that before, but you definitely have to do that before working from one of these hanks. And the cakes give it a nice center pull, which is so simple and easy to work from. So here is the beautiful Celtic weave we're going to be making for this pillow. It's really actually an interesting construction that we're doing. It's all worked in the round, which is the easiest way to do this stitch. So what we'll do is make this cover. We will seam the bottom and we'll seam the top. We're going to add some nice tassels to it. It's going to look beautiful when it's finished. So I have already started this cover here, and I'm working a total of 112 stitches for it. And if you measure it out, it's about 18 inches. Now I'm going to get started showing you how to do the stitch, but I'm going to make a little smaller swatch so we can work through it a little bit quicker. But to cover this size pillow, you're going to need 112. The multiple of this pattern is 4, so any multiple of 4 is fine if you're altering this for a different size pillow. Okay, so let's get a slip knot, put that on the hook, and we're going to begin chaining. So you'll want to do a total of 112 for your pillow cover. I'm going to do a smaller amount just to get showing you how to do this pattern. So begin your chain. And then a little tip, if you don't already know this, so that your chains don't twist, let's just get a few. We're going to come back. Okay, look at your chain so that you see the flat part of the chain here. We're going to put our hook into the starting chain. Okay, then you're going to just put, keeping it still flat, go back through the loop, and then you're just going to keep on chaining, and then you will not get a twisted chain. Okay, so just keep chaining like this, your 112, and then you know that your chain won't be twisted. Okay, so I've just worked up 20, and now when you need to join, we're just going to pull through, and then we're joined, and our chain isn't twisted. So that's going to come in really handy when you have your 112 chains. Now we're going to chain 2. Okay, so you can see here there's all these little humps on the back of the chain. So there is the flat part of the chain, and then you turn it and you see all these little bumps. That is what we're going to be working into instead of the back loop of the chain. So yarn over, work a double crochet into the back bump, and you want to make sure that your chain is not too tight or it'll be really difficult to work into them. Okay, they just pop right up, those little humps. So we're just working double crochets into each of them. You're going to have 112 double crochet stitches, and I'm just having obviously a small demo here for you, so I only have 20. So I'm going to continue to work that all the way around and I'll meet you up. Okay, so it's a good idea to make sure that you do have the correct number of stitches before we get started into our cabling pattern, because it is worked in a multiple of 4 and will only work out if you have that correct number of stitches. So we're going to slip stitch in the top of the first double crochet to join, and then we'll chain 3. Now we're going to begin our cabling pattern. So this cable will be worked in front post treble crochets through the entire pattern. We're going to skip over the first 2 stitches and work a front post treble in the next 2. So yarn over twice. We're going under the post of the stitch, pulling up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over twice, going around the next post. We'll work another front post treble. Now we'll work back into those 2 skip stitches. So yarn over twice, we'll go first, yarn over twice, and a front post treble into the second skip stitch. So now we're just going to repeat this all the way around. So we'll skip the next 2, yarn over twice, and a front post treble in the next 2. So this round is fairly easy to work. We're going back and we're going over top in front, so it's easy to just go over top and work those trebles. Okay, so I'll repeat that all the way around and I'll meet you up. Okay, so once you've worked all the way around, I want you to notice here your chain. We won't be slip stitching into the chain. We're going in to the top of the stitch of the first front post treble to join. And our chain is going to be hidden behind all of our cables. Chain 3. And now we're on to round 2 of our cabling pattern. This is probably your most difficult round, so I'm going to go through it slowly and just persevere and keep trying, and I'm sure you'll get it. Okay, so now we're skipping over, rather than skipping over only 2, we're skipping over 4. So 1, 2, those first 2 are tucked underneath, the next 2 over top, and then we'll be working into these 2 that are tucked underneath. So front post treble. So we're skipping 4, working a front post treble around the next 2. Now we're going to come back and work in the 3rd and 4th skip stitch. We're going to leave the first 2 stitches for when we come back around to our join. So these stitches here, we want to come up in behind these 2 stitches we just made. So we have to work in behind this time rather than in front, which makes it a little trickier. I like to push my work to the front so I can see the stitches that I need to work into. So I yarn over twice, push my work forward, and then you can see those stitches there. We're going to work front post trebles around that 3rd skip stitch and then the 4th. So you pull that forward, make sure you find the right stitch and work a front post treble crochet. Okay, so now if you pull your work back, you should see those stitches coming up underneath now, these ones that we made. So now this time we're only going to skip over these 2 and find the stitches that are tucked underneath, and we'll be working our front post trebles into them. This will be the repeat pattern now all the way around. So we're skipping 2, working front post trebles into the next 2. Now we need to work back into the skip stitches, but we have to work in behind. So push your work out of the way. Let's yarn over twice. Push the work out of the way so we can see them. Okay. And then we're just going to repeat that all the way around. Okay, so we're coming up to the join. You should have 2 stitches remaining. We're going to skip over them. Here's our chain. So here we know this is the join. And there's those first 2 stitches that are tucked underneath that we skipped. So we'll now work into them to complete this round. So now we need to work back into these 2 stitches that we skipped. So yarn over twice. Make sure you find the stitches and work a front post treble into the first skipped and the next. Okay, and then we're going to find that chain, slip stitch into the first front post treble to join, and chain 3. Okay, so now we're to the 3rd round of the cable, and like the 2nd round, we're going to skip over 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then this time our stitches are going to be coming up over top. We'll work a front post treble into that 5th stitch and a front post treble into the 6th stitch. Now this time we're going to work over top again, which makes it a lot simpler and a lot quicker. So we're again leaving the first 2 stitches for the join, and we're going to work back into the 3rd, going over top, going in front, and into the 4th. Okay, so now what we'll do is skip those next 2 stitches that are tucked underneath. Again, we're going over the ones that are coming up over the top, and it's always nice just to make sure you are eyeballing this as you go, and then you'll be sure that you're doing the pattern correctly. So we skip the ones that are tucked, front post treble in the next, front post treble in the next. Then we're going to go back into our skipped stitches, going in front. And we're going to repeat that all the way around. And at this point, you're really going to start to see this Celtic weave coming together. So here we skip the next 2, work into the next 2. Okay, and when you come back, get back to your last 2 stitches here. So here's our chain. Here are those 2 stitches tucked in here, and then here are the first 2 stitches of the round that we left unworked. They're coming over top, so we'll work front post treble into the first and then the next. Okay, and coming back over top. Now you need to just make sure you don't grab the chain. You want to make sure that you're going into those 2 skip stitches right here. So going in front, we'll work a front post treble in the first skip stitch and a front post treble in the next. Okay, and then we find our chain and then look for the top of the first front post treble to join and chain 3 again. And now we're just going to repeat round 2 and round 3 of the cable throughout. So it's just a 2-round repeat now throughout the pattern. I'll go through one here with you, but basically you can just rewind the video and go through those 2 rounds to keep working this pattern. So skip over 4. These 2 are tucked in behind. And then for this round, we're working in behind again. So you need to push your work, picking up the skip stitches. Push your work forward and just make sure that you have those stitches coming up underneath. Okay, so you're just going to repeat now rounds 2 and 3, and I'll pop up some directions on how many rounds in total that you'll need to work. Now I just wanted to give you a little tip on counting your rounds. So you want to look at the wrong side of your work. You're going to notice that your chain is going to go up here on the diagonal. And it's going to be really easy to find that chain. And this is what will help you easily count how many rounds you've done. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and you can just keep counting so that you know that you've made the right amount, because otherwise, looking at this, it can be really hard to count the rounds. So I'm going to work the rest of my piece off camera, and then we'll meet back up again when it's time to seam these edges. Okay, so I've been working up my pillow cover off camera, and I've done a total of 20 rounds. So that includes our very first round. If we just count the cable rounds, I have a total of 19. And I'm just going to show you here. There's a couple ways you can count them. One is you can count them by the chains, because the chain 3s really pop out, so you can do it that way. Or when you take a look at the weave pattern, you're going to have a bar going one way and then the bars going the other way. So you can count them: 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 19. So that's another way you can count. But with that starting foundation round, we have 20 in total. So this measures approximately 12 inches by 18 inches. Now my pillow is really full and puffy, so I needed to go the full 12 inches, but if your pillow form is a little bit flatter, you may need to reduce that. And all you need to do is stick your cover on your pillow to see if you're going to be able to close it up. Okay, so I have put my pillow form inside my cover now. You can stretch it out, and now what you want is your join to the corner, the side. And now what we're going to do is single crochet across to close this side of the cover. So I haven't fastened off or anything, we're just leaving off right where we ended the last row. So we'll chain 1, and then what we're going to do, now you could do this without the pillow inside as well, and that might be a little bit easier. What you're doing is just you're going through a stitch on one side, through the stitch on the other side, and then we're just making a single crochet. Okay, so I just took my pillow out just to make it a little bit easier. The other side, we will need the pillow in there to close it up. So we're just working across single crochet stitches, working through a single crochet on one side and then on the other side. So I'm going to work that across off camera and then I'll meet you back up for the other side. Okay, so once you get to the end, you're just going to fasten off and we can weave in that tail. Okay, so that you can weave in. Now I'm just gonna stick my pillow inside and then I'll meet you back up again. Okay, so once you get your cover in, you wanna get it pushed in the best you can. Now you're gonna have to judge your corner. So basically just come up to the corner and we're just gonna go through the 2 stitches here that are in the corner of your pillow, and we're going to have to join our yarn in. Okay, we'll chain 1 and then work a single crochet in those corner stitches there. Now it will be a little tight, but you want the cover to be tight on the pillow. So now what we're going to do is just work across the same way we did the other side. So we're going through a stitch on one side and the stitch on the other side. And we had 112 stitches, so you should be working across half of that, so 56 in total. Just working single crochets, and you may have to pull the cover a little bit to get it to stretch out, but just keep working all the way across and I'll meet you on the other side. Okay, so I finished working all the way across. Now this went a lot slower, so if you're struggling, just take your time. It is a little tighter to work into those foundation chains that we worked. So once you get all the way across, you can just fasten off, weave in your tail, and at this point your pillow is finished. If you'd like, you could add some tassels, which I'm going to do to the corners, but it looks great just the way it is without any tassels. But I have enough yarn left over because I did need to go into a 5th hank, so I'm going to go ahead and make a few tassels for the corners. Okay, to make my tassel, I'm going to make my pieces 10 inches in length, and then I'm going to count out 25. Okay, so I have my 25. And you're just going to want a longer piece that you're going to tie in the center, and you'll want this for tying to the corner of the pillow. So I like to go through once and then twice. And you want to double check that you get the center here. It's not quite. You'll want to tighten that up. Okay. And then we want another piece for making our little ball. So just take another long strand. Now I like to kind of give it a couple wraps. And then you can just weave this down. Do the same thing with your other strand. And then what we can do is trim. Some of my loops are shorter there. Okay, so what you want to do is just make 4 little tassels like this and attach them to each corner of the pillow. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and tap the bell so you stay updated on all my new videos and tutorials. Thanks so much, guys. Have an awesome day.